Hello all, in this video onwards we will study a new course, that is Theory of Computation. What is Theory of Computation? Theory of Computation is actually a branch of computer science, theoretical computer science and mathematics that deals with how efficiently problems can be solved on a model of computation using an algorithm. That means our aim is to solve a problem, we have an input for the problem, and that problems are solved on a model of computation. So model of computation means that describes how an output of a mathematical function can be generated by giving an input. That means we have an input, our aim is to generate the output. The input is converted to output by using a mathematical function. So this model of computation describes how this mathematical function is computed for the given input. Then that problem must be solved very efficiently. Very efficiently means we have to compute the efficiency of the algorithm. That means performance of the algorithm. And to solve that algorithm, solve that problem, there is an algorithm. Algorithm means the steps for solving the problem. So this automata theory actually deals with how efficiently problems can be solved on a model of computation using an algorithm. So there are three branches for this theory of computation, that is automata theory and languages, computability theory and computational complexity theory. Automata theory and languages means study of abstract machines or mathematical machines or systems, and the computational problems that can be solved on using these machines. For example, here we build a mathematical machine for a particular problem. For consider a physical example. You know what is an elevator. Suppose we have a 10-story building and a person is in the first floor want to go to the fifth floor, and from the fifth floor another person is entered into the elevator and he wants to go to the second floor. Like that the movement of the elevator is varying. So we can build a mathematical model for this elevator. So each floor of the building represents each state. Then based on the input from the person, that elevator moves from one floor to the another floor. And the input of this input is the request from the person. So based on these criteria, we can build a model for that elevator. So after building the model, it can efficiently perform based on gives the output based on the input by the person. That means computational problems that can be solved using these machines. That means when you give any input to that machine, it effectively solves the problem. Likewise, we can solve any type of problems by building a mathematical model or mathematical systems. That is called automata. Automata is actually a plural word. Its singular word is automaton. Automata means self-acting, or something is doing something by itself. That means the machine itself is doing something for its something. So there are different types of automata like finite automata, linear bounded automata and push down automata. Okay, so in this theory we will study what are the different types of automata and what are the different types of languages accepted by this automata and the grammar for generating the automata. Okay, so in this course we will study these concepts. Next is computability theory. Next branch of theory of computation is computability theory. Computability theory deals primarily with the question of at what extent to which a problem is solved on a computer. That means what can and what cannot be computed by a model. Okay, we have a model. So that model what can a model computed, or what cannot be that model can be computed. That deals with the computability theory. Next is computational complexity theory. Computational complexity theory that considers only whether the problem can be solved at all on a computer, but also how efficiently the problem can be solved. Okay, computational complexity theory actually deals with how efficiently the problem can be solved. The efficiency of the problem can be calculated by calculating the two factors, that is time complexity and the space complexity. Time complexity means how many steps does it take to perform a computation, or how much time is required to execute a program. That is the time complexity. So when we have a problem, it is a very good problem when the time complexity is very less. That means when we get the output in a very less time, then it is an efficient algorithm. Otherwise, if the algorithm is running infinite, then it is not an efficient algorithm. Sometimes it may reach the output, sometimes it may not. Then next one is space complexity. Space complexity means how much memory is required to perform that computation. Okay, how much memory is required to, that means how much memory is required to store that program, and also to execute that program, it requires additional memories. For example, in the case of merge sort, you all know what is a merge sort. In the case of a merge sort, we divide the numbers into numbers by 2 until the set contains only one element. Then we combine the process. Okay, that means then we combine two elements into 2 based on their value. That means when we want to sort the elements in ascending order, then compare the numbers and write the smallest number first and then the second number. But it is stored in another array. So here it needs 2 arrays. So actually to solve that problem, it requires, suppose there are n numbers, it requires 2 n spaces. But in the case of insertions or bubble sort, it requires only n spaces, n locations. That means it does not require any additional memory to store the elements. Okay, that is the space. That is the space complexity. How much memory is required to store the problem? The memory depends upon the program size and also the variables in the program, constants in the program, etc. Okay, so these are the 3 branches of theory of computation. Next is application of automata theory. What are the applications of the automata theory? First application is, it is play an important role when we are making software for designing and checking the behavior of digital circuits. You all know digital circuits. For example, in the case of a counter, suppose a counter that counts from 0 to 10. So first it is in the state 0, then it goes to the state 1, then it goes to the state 2, like that it goes to the state 10. That means there is a sequence of, there is a transition from one state to the another state. Like that in every digital circuit there is a transition. So this automata theory play a very much role in the case of designing the digital circuit. Designing and checking the behavior of the digital circuit. That means when you give the input to the digital circuit, this automata actually check whether it gives a correct output or not. Instead of designing the circuit, we actually build a model for the circuit. That means instead of the digital counter, the example we have the counter. So instead of designing the counter, we simply write the states. That means we write it as 0 0 0. From 0 0 0 it goes to 0 0 1, then it goes to 0 1 0, like that. That means from state 0 0 0 it goes to 0 0 1, then it goes to 0 0 0 0 1 0, like that. Finally it reaches 1 0 1 0. So this model actually check whether it goes from sequentially from 0 to 10. So that is the first application. So for any digital circuits we can build a model. That means it is very effectively used in the designing and checking the behavior of the digital circuits. Next is designing the lexical analyzer of a compiler. You know what is a compiler? Compiler actually converts the high level language program to machine language. So actually that process consists of number of steps. The first step is the lexical analyzer. The role of the lexical analyzer means when you give an input like int ABC. Suppose in C program you give the input as int ABC. Okay, A comma B comma C. So in this code actually int is a keyword and ABC are the variables. So this lexical analyzer actually breaks the input into logical units that are called tokens. Okay, break it into tokens. So here when after breaking we get int as a keyword and ABC are the variables. Then it check whether int is a correct keyword or not. Okay, correct keyword or not. That means its spelling is int. Suppose by mistake you type it as INF, we will get an error. After compiling we will get an error. That means that automata check whether the spelling is correct. That means INT, I followed by N followed by T. Then only it gives the correct keyword. The output as it is correct. Otherwise that automata, that model outputs it is an incorrect word. Okay, that is the second application of the automata, designing the lexical analyzer. Third one is used in software for scanning large bodies of text such as collection of web pages to find occurrence of words, phrases or other patterns. That means to find out the occurrences of the words and phrases in a large collection of web pages, large bodies of text such as web pages. Suppose we have a web page, our aim is to find out the occurrence of a particular word. So in that case also we use the automata to find out the occurrence of the particular word, pattern or the phrases. Next application of finite automata is verifying systems of all types that have finite number of distinct states. That means this automata can play a very important role in verifying systems that have finite number of distinct states. That means that system must be finite. System has finite number of states and that states must be distinct. Then only we can verify the system using the finite automata. For example, in the case of the communication protocols. Okay, communication protocols, number of nodes are communicated. So the number of nodes are finite and also distinct. So we can easily build a model for this communication system by using the automata. Okay, so that verifying the communication protocol is very much important in many applications. So these are all the applications of the automata theory. Thank you.